Hold up for just a second. Thank you for tuning in to Ringside with John and Kendra. It's much appreciated. I'm glad you're here. I do want to be upfront and honest. While recording this episode, we didn't realize until the editing process that we had a little bit of a technical difficulty. So there is some echoing on my end. I did the best that I could in post-production to take it out or at least minimize it as much as possible. And it's still there. But I am really proud of this episode. I think we had a lot of great conversations. I really love the topics we talked about in this one. So if you can power through a little bit of an echo, we would really, really appreciate it. And yeah, hope you guys enjoy. And we're actively working on fixing the problem over here. So please stay tuned for more. And thank y'all for checking us out. All right, enjoy the episode. Isn't it rich?
Oh my
Aren't
God.
we a pair?
Do you know the rest of it?
I don't.
No, you're gonna end there? Okay, cool. I
welcome.
feel
Oh,
for the first time maybe in my life, I understand what it feels like to be, I guess, Travis McElroy. As the middleest brother, I'm a middle child. This is what it feels like.
What do you mean?
To have someone start off the show with that song and there's nothing I can do about it. I can't stop it.
Oh, you mean, isn't it rich?
Are you looking up the lyrics?
Are we there? Me here at last on the ground, you in the air. Where are the clouds?
Okay. Where's the clowns?
There
Right
ought
here.
to be clowns.
You know who the clown is? Me. For not seeing what the first thing on the list was to talk about and assuming that you were going to sing that song. I should have known.
Welcome, everybody,
Hi,
to another edition of Ringside. I'm John.
That was beautiful. Did you hear that?
No, I didn't.
Oh my God, a treat for you for later. I'm Kendra. Hello.
And you know what? We've got a lot to talk about today.
So much.
We're going to zoom past a few things. And I want to let everyone know, if you're here for the fun, you can stay for the whole episode. But I'm giving everyone a heads up now. This will be a very WrestleMania heavy episode. So we're going to save that for the end. But we do have a few other things we want to talk about today.
Yeah.
And we hope that you are fucking strapped in. Let's jump right into it. So yes, the first thing we're going to talk about, the new Joker Folie à Deux trailer.
Woo!
I had to look that up on Google Translate.
Most trusted source.
We got a teaser for Joker 2, and you know what? Not gonna lie, I kind of like the teaser.
Well, here's the thing about the first Joker is that I was like, more than anything, I was terrified.
Yeah, for good reason.
For good reason. But we went and we saw it in theaters, and I was like, wait a minute. Actually, this is good, and I like it. I had no doubts that I would enjoy whatever sequel that they thought to create. And then when I learned that it was going to be a musical, I was like, well, now hang on. We're barking up our trees now. This is our territory.
Superhero properties? Musicals?
Lady Gaga?
Dame.
So, yeah, I was looking forward to seeing more of what this was going to be like. And from the trailer, it's kind of what I assumed. Like, it looks like a lot of dream sequences, a lot of dubious realities. And it's like hard to tell what's real and what's not. I mean, we saw that in the first one too.
Yeah, I appreciate that because of how the last movie ended off, it's still kind of that unreliable narrator.
Yeah.
And we don't really know what's real, what's not. So I think that's interesting. I love the concept that we hear. Like, we hear the idea of the movie in the trailer where they say music makes us whole. So that kind of lets us know that music is going to play a big part in this. And anyone who follows movie news has heard that this is going to be a movie musical. So much so that they have like 15 songs ready in the movie. So how many of those make the final cut? I don't know. But one thing you clocked first is that in the teaser, they show absolutely zero on-screen singing.
Okay, and here's Hold on. 1 second. You have something right here. I think it's syrup.
So for those of you who are tuning in, I had what's called a breakfast taco.
Yeah, we
from
tried a new breakfast place
a
this
local
morning.
diner, and it was a pancake taco, more specifically.
It was
was
pancake.
delicious.
It was pancake with scrambled eggs and bacon in it and cheese.
It was delicious, but
We had a little syrup. I was gonna sink you to cut that, but you leaned into it, and you know what? I appreciate you for that.
why lie to the people?
Why lie? They could probably see it the whole time.
They can probably see it the whole time, and then there's just gonna be a jump shot with me with no syrup on. We're honest here.
What were we talking about? What did
you
you
want? No on-screen singing.
Okay, so here's the thing. I get this wave of studios not wanting to disclose to people that they're about to see a musical. I get that can be concerning, but I also firmly believe that people should maybe do their due diligence and like look into what they're so excited to see a little bit. I'm not saying like watch breakdowns of all the trailers so you know, because a lot of people think that's spoilery, and I understand that, but just like, how about as a rule of thumb, if something has been a musical in the past or musical people have been cast in it and you hate musicals, just like really quick double check. Google, is this a musical? Before you go and see it. I don't understand people. I know, I think it's because I love a musical. But the people who are like upset that they've been duped into seeing a musical, that is where I'm like, I don't get it.
Right.
But also like, this had a song in it. People were singing. We just couldn't see them. The images we were seeing of these dream sequences that are very much like almost like old like golden age musical movies that we've seen,
like old Hollywood musicals.
Yeah, like and Lady Gaga is in it. So I'm like, to me it's clear, but also I already knew that it was a movie musical.
Right.
So maybe, I don't know. I just feel like you kind of have to be like actively wanting it to not be a movie musical to like miss all of these signs.
Yeah, and again, like, I know we follow movie news pretty closely, but like, I feel like when they announced the movie,
that was like a big thing about it.
A musical, and that's the director's whole thing, is to do something. He doesn't want to make the same movie again, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, of course we have Joaquin Phoenix, we have Lady Gaga, Todd Phillips returning to direct. I'm very excited to see how this movie turns out.
And you love Harley Quinn.
I'm a big Harley Quinn fan. Got her tatted on my leg. Who knows? Maybe I'll put a picture up on the actual video version of this. So yeah, I'm also excited to see a new take on Harley Quinn. We've not seen a musical Harley, not that I'm aware of. Don't quote me on that.
I'm sure she's sang at some point.
But also, I'm excited to see, like, you know what? I'm gonna make this declaration here. If you are someone, let's make sure this is a note for me, old Johnny P. Zoom the camera in here. If you are someone who bitched and moaned and complained and shit on the musical planet from the Marvels, you're not invited. You're not invited.
Wow.
You lost your invitation. We rescind it. And if you shit on the part with the cats and the memory was playing in the background from the musical Cats, I'm watching you. I get that one a little more, but I'm watching you.
Controversial take. I get both of those. Bucelle, could you shut the hell up? We're trying to record. I immediately, when we were in the scene of them singing in the singing town, the singing country in the Marvels, I was like, this is not going to go over well. Because it was just so abrupt. And people who knew the comics would have known from the name of the planet they were going to, like, obviously what was about to happen. But I did not.
I didn't, and I loved it.
And I loved it, but I can understand why people don't. I also can understand why people didn't like the cats thing, because it's like, it's very on the nose.
Well, I maintain that they're not invited.
And I mean, that's fine. You are entitled to your opinions.
Anyway, so looking forward to I almost said jokey. Joker Folie à Deux.
Folie à Deux.
Sorry.
There's no car on this street that looks like it would make that sound. So I don't know who's whipping around. It's obviously someone who lives here, and they must be in a Honda Accord.
Anyway, so WB, all movie studios, stop bitching out. Let the people know it's a musical.
I will say, like, show me them singing just once.
Just once.
Just to get me excited for the singing. I want to see them singing because I love a musical.
Yeah.
I also, keep in mind, this is the very first trailer we've gotten for this, and
Right.
maybe we'll get an alternate trailer where they are indeed singing.
I hope so. I'd love a nice change of pace.
Yeah.
And if anyone's gonna do it, to just be like, "Hey, fuck you," to the people who like are gonna complain that it's a musical.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it would be Todd Phillips. I feel like he would have a say in like, you know what? Fuck it. Anyway, moving right along. Going from one spectrum of feelings to the other.
Bustelo Perez, what do you want, buddy? What? What do you want? Do you guys hear him? Why is he
I
crying?
don't know what he wants.
He
just has a lot to say.
Do you want to go in the closet? Oh. Yeah, I can see him in my camera. He's right here. Can you guys see him? What does he want?
Jeez.
He wants to go into this door, but this is a wall. Unfortunately.
He sees a door that we can't.
It's okay, buddy. Don't even start with that shit. I don't like that at all.
So, as you all know, there's a new series on Disney Plus. It's called X-Men 97. It's a reboot of the old X-Men series.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, for those who don't know, I co-host. Jesus Christ. So for those who don't know, I co-host another podcast called John/John. It's where me and a buddy of mine named John talk about horror movies. He loves them. I don't. And so this week we were watching a couple of really scary movies by one Ari Aster. And we decided, because Kendra watches them with me, even though
I also don't like horror
But she
movies
does
and
it
I'm
to
a
support.
chicken.
And so we decided to do the double feature in one night where we watched specifically Hereditary and Midsommar back to back. Let me tell you right now, don't do that. But we were like, you know what? It'll be nice we'll save X-Men 97 for the end of the night.
Mm-hmm.
That way we have like a palate cleanser, something to look forward to, something kind of light and exciting and fun, you know?
Yeah, because this was Wednesday. So it had just come out that day. So we were like saving it to the end of our day. Usually we watch it as soon as we can.
Y'all, what the fuck was that? It was the saddest episode of anything I've ever seen.
Do you know what the episode title was?
Remember It.
Okay, so yes, for context, this past week is when Remember It came out.
Episode 5.
So, okay, so we have just gone through The Ringer. I'm watching one of the scariest movies I've ever watched, Hereditary. And I'm still like, I'm, first of all, almost 30 years old.
Hey.
How old are you? 38. Yeah.
This isn't about me.
Yep.
I'm not 38.
He's 30 fucking, he's 22, he's 20,000. I'm almost 30 and I'm days later still thinking about it. Like last night I was taking a shower and I was like thinking about it and I was like, I can't think about that. And then because I was like, I can't think about that, it's all I could think about. But I think that's the OCD. But anyway, it was like so fucking scary. And then we watched Midsommar, which is like, for me, it was less scary. I don't know if that was the same for you.
It wasn't scary, but it did fuck me up for a hot minute.
Yeah. And then I'm like, finally, Salvation. Like, we only have one episode of X-Men's time before we have to start getting ready for bed. This has to be like the thing that negates all of what I just saw. The gore and the scariness and just like the weird cultish behavior that's all in my head now.
Disturbing images and sounds.
Yeah. And then it was the saddest, the saddest episode, but also one of the best episodes so far.
It was an incredible episode.
It was so great. And it's like, I don't want to spoil it, so I don't want to talk about it in detail, but like the last...
it's been almost a week.
Yeah. But the last 3 seconds, it's just...
Rip your heart out.
Yeah. It's Rogue mourning someone. I'll say that. And you don't see... It's a black screen and just her voice. And she says... I don't know if this is a spoiler.
We'll just say right now. From this point on in the episode, we are going to give some spoilers for X-Men 97 episode 5 titled Remember It. here is your spoiler warning. If you have not watched it and you want to go in fresh, just skip ahead a few minutes, or pause it, go watch it, and come back. But this is your official spoiler warning.
Yes.
Okay, they have plenty of time.
Okay, so we see a terrorist attack. We see a terrorist attack on Genosha, and the X-Men who are there are trying and failing. And then we see Gambit sacrifice himself, and Rogue gets to touch him for the first time with no gloves on because he's dead. And she just goes, I can't feel you. Oh my God.
And to go even deeper, it's like, first, this episode's already kind of like emotionally straining because you see Jean's having complicated feelings about Cyclops, and Cyclops is having complicated feelings about Jean and Madeline. And then Rogue is like having complicated feelings because of her affair with Magneto, and her, well, not really an affair, but her situationship with Magneto and her situationship with Gambit. And then this terrorist attack happens, and it's devastating to watch, just because it reminds you of a lot of real life imagery, right? Mm-hmm. And just first you see all these people dying, and then Magneto has just him and Rogue staring at one another, and right before he dies, presumably dies anyway, he says to Leech in German, he says, do not be afraid.
And then he gets fucking blowed up.
Just rips my heart out. So she's already lost someone who, you know, whether we like it or not, she has had a close connection with. Mm-hmm. And then Gambit, I will say, went out like a fucking G.
Yeah.
G is for Gambit. And yeah, she loses both people she's had the closest like connections with in the same night, and Gambit will never know that she chose Gambit over Magneto. Mm-hmm. And this is like everything in this episode compounded the next thing that happened. And then the fact that the episode cuts to black, but we still hear that line, I can't feel you, that made everything so much worse.
Yeah. And it's like, this was a cable episode. And I think we're going to see that more.
Right.
That this was a cable episode. So I think it's all going to be reversed and figured out in complicated time travel stuff.
Oh, goddamn.
But it
affect the impact.
It doesn't make a difference when you're in the moment. Even knowing like this, none of this is actually going to happen. Like, I have to watch it happen once. And I just said his name.
Cable? Holy shit.
Damn. Cable says to his mom, Madeline, he's like, I'm so sorry, Mom, before he disappears, because he knows exactly what's about to happen. That's fucking sad too. Yeah. That's one of the more underrated sad things that had happened. He called her mom.
Yeah.
That's so sad.
He knew who she was. She didn't know who he was at first.
And then she figured it out.
But
she never got to really have a son. So for him to call her mom.
She had a baby, but she never had a son.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Anyway, so very sad, very fantastic episode. And then we got a mid-season trailer to set us up for the next half of the season.
Yeah.
And it looks really, really good too. And there's definitely going to be some like, we're getting into complicated time travel stuff.
We also saw The Watcher, and
The Watcher was there. Yeah.
And we looks like we're going to see Captain America. I don't know. So
yeah,
we're looking forward to more X-Men 97. Have been loving the show so far.
Yeah. Oh my God,
damn it, that was so sad.
The show's been so good. I never watched the original on account of I wasn't born, but this one is so good. It kind of makes me want to go back and watch them, but then I look at the graphics and I'm like, actually, you know what? That's not for me. I'll just keep blazing forward.
Fair enough. But yeah, let us know what y'all think of X-Men 97. Did you cry? Dog tears were shed. So over the last week, we also had some news come out of CinemaCon. Mm-hmm. Now, there was a lot of news, so we're not going to go over all of it, but there are some fun things I want to talk about. Paramount, you know, the studio that runs, you know, Paramount Pictures, Nickelodeon, things like that.
I think CBS owns them. Anyway, Viacom, CBS, whatever. So Paramount Studios announced several projects, and I got to tell you, some of them are truly, they give the vibe of like, hey, we threw spaghetti at the wall and we're just gonna like go with it. So the first was, they announced a live action adaptation of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Last Ronin. So for those of you unfamiliar with that title, the general just, I've never read it. I'm going to give you a full disclaimer. I've never read it. But I kind of get the general idea, which is there's one turtle left. We don't really know who it is. And they're fighting to avenge the death of their brothers. I think the main villain is Shredder's grandson, something like that. And I'm like, someone had a kid with Shredder?
Shredder the Third.
And then that kid had a kid? I don't know about that one.
What does Shredder look like? Is he a mouse?
No,
who am I
that's
thinking?
Master Splinter. And he's a rat.
Sorry, not a cute little mouse. He's an ugly, disgusting rat.
He's a fucking rat. Anyway, so my first thought is, I'm like, okay, we just perfected the New Age Ninja Turtles with Mutant Mayhem, which is an amazing movie if you haven't seen it.
I've seen it 3 times.
Yeah, it's so
It's
good.
so good.
So I'm like, what? And also, there's obviously this huge interest. I mean, I'm biased in animation.
I don't think that's biased to say.
So like, why? I don't know. I feel like keep it rated R, do what you want, but like, why does it have to be live action?
I'm like so disturbed, and I'm already freaked out about what the fuck abomination we're gonna see in live action. Maybe I'll eat my words. You know what? Maybe it'll be great.
That's very possible.
But like, think about what we're saying. Live action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I know they've done it in the past, and guess what? That was fucking scary too. So I don't know what that looks like yet.
Yeah, I just don't know how I'm gonna feel about
the rest of it. The story, having it rated R, that sounds really cool. It's the live action part that's really getting to me.
It's the live action part. I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna see this. I don't know that I want to see this giant turtle just fucking massacring people with like martial arts and weapons. So that's tripping me up. I'm open to it, but I don't know. Part of me is like, this sounds. Can you imagine the badass anime we could get out of this? Like, why not just make it like a series or mini series? I don't know.
Yeah.
More to come on that, I'm sure. We'll see how quickly they
pivot on that.
Yeah.
When you said throwing spaghetti against the wall, it's like not even from like a throwing spaghetti and see and like doing it from there. It's more of like throwing spaghetti and seeing how people react.
Yeah.
So it's like I've come to not these like big conventions where we're laying out like high level ideas that we have not dug into a lot of, whether it be any other production company, whether it be Disney parks even. I've learned to not trust those things because they're so like someone just had a thought and we put it on the board.
Right.
So I'm interested to see if they actually stick with that idea.
Right.
Or if we see it change. Maybe we will see it become an animated project instead of a live action. I don't know.
Yeah, and I wonder if it affects, I know that recently it was announced that there was going to be a video game adaptation of The Last Ronin that was made by, they didn't mention who, but they said, I believe it was a AAA game developer. So like, you know, like a high tier, think your Horizons, your God of Wars, stuff like that.
That
like,
could be interesting.
Like that.
I'll play as a turtle all day.
Yeah. But like a live action movie, I just that part's so clearly the story has interest with people, but like I don't know, I'm iffy on that. And then the other piece of news was that they announced they've officially greenlit a Transformers and G.I. Joe crossover film. I'm not here to yuck anyone's yum. If you are a fan of either franchise from their inception back in the day or the movies now, at least they're still making Transformers movies. I don't know that anyone was clamoring for another G.I. Joe.
Wasn't Rihanna in the first G.I. Joe?
She was in Battleship. Was she in G.I. Joe?
Excuse me.
I know Channing Tatum was there. The Rock was in.
Well,
one of
here's
them.
the thing. I don't remember them. I don't remember them. I just typed G.I. Jones into my phone. That's not right.
You're thinking of Basketball Jones.
I figured out what I was getting at, but like I don't. Did anyone see these movies?
I don't know.
How many were there?
I surely didn't. So I'm just interested
There
in
were
like
3.
There's 3 of them.
There's 3. G.I. Joe: The Rise of Cobra, G.I. Joe: Retaliation, and Snake Eyes.
Snake Eyes was a movie?
Yeah.
Has that come out yet?
It came out in 2021.
I had no fucking idea.
John M. Chu did the second one. Directed the second one.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, good for him. Best man of range. You think we'll see The Rock and Wicked? They go way back.
I don't know.
He's gonna be the City of Oz.
It made this last one made $40 million in the box office. Its budget was between, how did they not know? It was between 88 and 110 million. So it made less than half of its
So
budget.
what are we doing?
So hey guys, what are we doing?
Are we perhaps trying to use the popularity of the Transformers to
bolster G.I. Joe? And like when you first hear about it, you're like, or at least I was like, what the fuck? It makes sense because there's like military components in both of them that could, I guess, overlap. You know who probably had a hand in this? Kenya. Kenya's popularity meeting the bad guy, Megatron, is probably what led them to believe that people cared enough about Transformers to watch a Transformers G.I. Joe.
Now, if you give me a Kenya and Megatron movie,
a Kenya and Megatron buddy cop film.
now
now we're cooking.
Now
this
we're
is
cooking with
idea.
gas.
This is brainstorming.
Yeah. So apparently,
TM. You're gonna have to come to us for that.
So
not Kenya. No, we get that. We get that money.
if y'all want to suss out the deets, y'all let us know.
I just and again, I'm always willing to eat crow on these projects. Maybe a trailer will come out and it'll look fantastic. Maybe they'll attach the right people to this project and it'll be great. But I, quite frankly, only care about Transformers a little bit, and I don't care about G.I. Joe at all.
Yeah. So
I was trying to see if Rihanna was in it. Sorry.
No, you're okay. I don't think she was.
No, I am. I think I'm thinking about what you said.
Of Battleship?
Yeah.
But anyway, also from Disney Studios, the Disney panel, front and center, they're really leaning into it. Deadpool and Wolverine.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, that's their biggest. That's their biggest project, I think, releasing this year.
Yeah.
In addition to some Pixar stuff and some other stuff they got
Moana.
Yeah. So, but in terms of, that's the only Marvel release this year. So, well, in theaters. And so they're representing Disney Studios. Kevin Feige comes out and he's talking about the movie, and he says to the audience that the movie's fucking awesome. He goes, and I can say that. He said, I can say that because the movie's rated R.
Wow, Kevin.
Kevin, you kiss your mother with that mouth?
Bad boys.
Language.
What you gonna do? Remember when in Spy Kids, Gary Giggles put on those glasses and it said "bad boy"?
That's Kevin Feige.
That's
right
fucking
now.
Kevin Feige right now. That's Kevin Feige right now.
You ain't lying. And apparently they showed 9 minutes of the movie to the audience there, and everyone's like, if you had any doubts in this movie or Deadpool in the MCU, you can lay them to rest. Some people saying like this is going to be the biggest box office hit. Like, you have no idea. This movie looks amazing. This movie looks incredible. Very excited. They also, I'm scared now. They hinted at a very lewd popcorn bucket designed by Deadpool.
Oh God, no.
And I'm like, is it going to be his ass?
I was gonna say, or his lap with a popcorn bucket on it. If it's his lap with a popcorn bucket on it, guys. TM. You gotta run me my money for that one.
But yeah, so just some interesting news. I was already excited for Deadpool. We've also started seeing our first images of Wolverine in the cowl based on some promotional material. So it's not really spoilery, but
it's promotional.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it yet, you'll likely start seeing it soon, of him in his full costume and cowl. So be on the lookout for that. All right. Now we're going to go back in time. We're going back to WrestleMania 40. So here is our WrestleMania segment, which we'll talk about for the rest of the episode. WrestleMania 40 and everything that has come after it, Raw after Mania and SmackDown after Mania. So first off, I guess, Kendra, what did you think of WrestleMania 40?
I thought WrestleMania 40 was really well done.
We ushered in a new era.
We ushered in a new area.
Blackpink in your area.
Blackpink was in this area and you could feel it. This is the Blackpink era of professional wrestling. No, we ushered in a new era and no one let us forget it. They talked about that constantly and consistently. And listen, we're coming off the back of a period of time where our PLEs were rocky, hit and miss. And I feel like we've noticed recently an increase in quality. Kio's climbing on the windows. One can only guess what happened there to get an increase in quality in the storytelling and the booking. But yeah, they had a really tough task ahead of them with WrestleMania XL being the biggest WrestleMania of all time. I guess until 2XL comes along. It's just shirt sizes. That's what that humor is from. Anyway, that's a big challenge.
Right.
Especially when like WrestleMania is the type of thing, every PLE is the type of thing where like you have to at least one up what you did last year.
Right.
What the fuck is WrestleMania 41 going to look like with how much was going on here? I feel like this WrestleMania, we went into it with really clear and well-defined. I feel like we went into it with really defined and well-executed storylines that made the emotional component a little bit more present.
Yeah.
But also knowing how much stuff, especially with the main event of both nights, how much of that stuff had to be pivoted really late in the game, made it even more impressive in my eyes that we got to what we got to eventually. I don't think there were any bad matches, but there was one match that we'll probably talk about later that was a little disappointing because we had such high hopes and expectations and they just took it in a different direction.
There were two matches I thought were a little disappointing.
Okay.
But we'll get to that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. I was worried because WrestleMania 39, in my opinion, was so good.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, where do they go? And granted, it's a whole different WrestleMania, so I wouldn't compare the two in that sense. But it's just that Hollywood just had a glitz and glamour about it.
Yeah, it was a good theme.
Yeah,
it was a good theme.
And I think that helped a lot. This theme was which makes sense. It was very sports, like football themed, right? And yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think the biggest, WrestleMania, and whether you love them, whether you hate them, I think a big part of that, the biggest part of that was The Rock returning. And listen, I'm biased. I know I'm a huge fan, but his performance in the night one main event, he didn't have to go out and do half the shit he did. And he fucking did that.
I feel like he did it as like a fuck you to all these people who are like, The Rock hasn't been here in years and he's old and he's
cutting a promo and
out of shape. He's out of breath. Shut up.
Yeah.
That was him telling them to shut up.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought both main events were incredible. I thought both nights were really, really well done. Overall, I really, really liked the matches. I think one match that we kind of agreed was a little underwhelming was the Uso versus Uso match.
Yeah.
Which sucks because I know they were really looking forward to having that moment.
Mm-hmm.
I think that story was one of them that were one of those stories that were just kind of like they didn't let it simmer long enough. Like you just kind of saw Jimmy randomly pop up to Raw and was like, "Hey, you're nothing without me."
It was like it had simmered and then they were doing something else.
Right.
And then they try to come back to it.
Right.
Instead of just like letting it stay that
Right.
for long enough. But yeah, when we were watching it, I was like, this doesn't feel like what I expected it to be.
Right.
But then after we let it sit for a little bit, I was thinking about it more and I was like, I think maybe that was supposed to feel more emotionally charged than it was. That was supposed to be like a feelings match rather than like an impressive feat of agility and strength match.
And where I don't want people to go is like, oh, well, they have a limited moveset. But I'm like, listen, especially when they were a tag team, you can't tell me they didn't put on some of the best matches.
Mm-hmm.
Like some of I still go back and think about their match with the Street Profits. I think it was at Money in the Bank one year.
But you could argue that had not more to do, but they were bolstered by their opponents.
Yeah. Agreed.
Instead of, because now they're just one-on-one.
Yeah.
And I will say, I don't know if it's a limited skill set, but they do the same moves. Like that's like
the match maybe had a limited moveset.
Yeah. But I still think they could have done more with it. I think that it could have been more.
I agree.
Wow.
And it's nothing against those guys. Love those guys.
I love the Usos. Happy to see more family members, more Usos. Bring in all the Usos. Love the Usos.
Well, you might be getting your wish.
I know.
And the other match that I was like, was it was Bobby Lashley and the Profits against the Final Testament.
Yeah.
I didn't love that match. It was fine. Bubba Ray there was fun.
Yeah.
Snoop Dogg on commentary was
great.
But the match itself, I was like, I get what they were going for. They were going for like a throwback to ECW. Mm-hmm. That's why they brought Bubba Ray out and all that. Love the Dudley Boy spots that they did. You know, get the tables. What are you looking at?
I was caught being sneaky. I'm looking at my neighbor loading up his trunk. I'm trying to see what he's up to today. Anyway. I think he might be going for a hike.
I don't give a shit what he's doing.
He might be going fishing, actually. I feel like I see a bait bucket in there. Guys, don't judge me for that. I sit up here in my office and I look out my windows all day like an old woman trying to see what everyone's up to.
I get shit on all the time for my ADHD tendencies of getting distracted.
I didn't get distracted. I was listening to what you were saying the whole time. You got distracted from me not looking at you. That's on you, quite frankly. That's not my problem.
That's girl bossing. That's gaslighting. Okay. Anyway.
It felt like a
it was like a SmackDown
match. Yeah.
Yeah. Or a SmackDown match. And again, nothing to do with the wrestlers themselves. It's just more of how the match was produced. It was more about those references and those spots at the end of the match. So I don't know. It just didn't do much for me.
I just want to see the Street Profits in like a serious match with stakes at WrestleMania. I feel like, I don't know. I miss them. I feel like I miss them.
No, I feel that. And moments I really, really loved. Obviously, we love Bayley winning the women's championship. Loved Damian Priest cashing in.
Yep.
To all of those people who were like, he's going to be the first person to not cash in. He's not going to be. I'm like, why the fuck would they do that?
That doesn't make any sense.
And I love the setup, Drew winning, having a 5-minute reign, and then.
I believe, if I remember correctly, you called that exact scenario happening. You called the exact scenario happening.
I said he was going to take his eye off the fucking prize. He won, and
a lot of people taking their eyes off the prize. And it costing them.
And now we got El Campeón. We've got Senor Money in the Bank no more. Yeah. It's El Campeón, Damian Priest.
Yeah.
Did you see that he threw the opening pitch at the Yankee game?
I did not.
After he won.
Good for him.
Yeah. That was the day after my little brother went to go. He saw a Yankee game at Yankee Stadium, and it was the next day that Damian Priest was there.
Your little brother's out here doing stuff. He went to the SmackDown Raw
in Brooklyn. He went to the Yankee game. I'm like, damn, son.
He's doing all sorts of shit out there.
Anyway.
He wants an invite.
And then obviously we got the most insane main event in WrestleMania history, where Cody Rhodes did defeat Roman Reigns, only because he had the help of John Cena and The Undertaker and Jey Uso.
And some people would argue, well, Roman Reigns had like his bloodline. Whatever.
Yeah.
You know what? You know what's different about those two things? The bloodline, they're all active participants. They're all active members.
It's bloodline rules, not
I
dead man
thought
rules.
The Undertaker retired.
I thought he was dead.
Legally, I don't think he was allowed to wrestle that match. And I think we should have someone high enough in the company to perhaps run some sort of investigation. Maybe like one of the chair people on the board.
The directors of the board. Maybe a certain type of boss.
Maybe certain like I'm trying to think of a different word for final.
Like maybe the last boss you would see for
maybe the ultimate boss.
Yeah.
If he could like perhaps
full rank, you know,
and launch an investigation on that. I genuinely thought that that's where we were going. Oh geez.
He contests the win.
He contests the win and he pulls his weight and all this stuff, but that didn't end up happening. No. And I think The Rock's just leaving for a while now. But
yeah. And you know what? It was all joking aside, it was a really incredible match.
It was a great match. That was like I saw so many people online afterwards being like, if like my 10-year-old self cannot fathom what I'm watching on the screen right now. I didn't watch wrestling growing up, so I had none of that. But it was like people were like kids again, watching John Cena and The Undertaker and The Rock at WrestleMania. That's crazy.
When John Cena and The Rock were face to face, because remember they had 2 matches at WrestleMania, and it was kind of billed as like a once in a lifetime thing, right? And they have this moment, and The Rock also had a similar moment with Hulk Hogan. So it's kind of like something you see from time to time, where the crowd is just cheering and they're just like looking at the crowd. And so I see the play-by-play, you know, when they first had their match at WrestleMania and then this year's WrestleMania. So it's like, yeah, people are just feeling like kids. And something, another trend I've been seeing, specifically on TikTok, is people who are like watching wrestling with like their boyfriends or with their person, right, for the first time. And they're like, look at how this grown person is reacting. And they're not making fun of them necessarily. They're just like, I had no idea they are freaking out, and then they go back and like are looking up why is this important?
Such a big deal.
And so that's a really cool that's been a really cool trend. And also just I don't know, it's just really sweet that they're like, it's kind of adorable watching my significant other freaking out about this.
Yeah, it's like I guess anytime you watch anybody that you care about be super super passionate about something,
right?
But I mean, I was sitting next to you watching it. And you couldn't believe, like, when The Undertaker's
his fucking
terrifying music started, you freaked the fuck, you jumped up off the couch. You freaked the fuck out. And even I was like, that can't be right.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
it's so insane. And I think that's, like, the moment where it was like, oh, this feels like the biggest WrestleMania of all time. It would have been better if Stone Cold Steve Austin was there, but like whatever.
But what a swerve. But yeah, and then Cody Rhodes winning. I mean, like again, I did want Roman Reigns to win, not gonna lie. But also, like I get why people were so like happy and like cheering, especially because not for nothing. I'm not trying to go too deep, but like we live in a time that's kind of tough to live in, and you know everyone has that feeling of like trying, failing, trying again and trying again and trying again. And maybe some people don't try again. And to see someone like Cody Rhodes go through everything he's kind of gone through in the storyline to finally get that win, like I can see why a lot of adults get really emotional because they like either see themselves in him or they see what they wish they can do, you know? So like, I get it. And that's kind of why I love wrestling, you know? But anyway, where do we go from here? So on Monday Night Raw, the Raw after Mania, The Rock and Cody Rhodes have this really weird segment with one another.
Yeah.
And they're holding each other's belts.
And I can only assume that The Rock gives I only assume that The Rock gives Cody Rhodes, I think it's a bug. Maybe a small frog. It was really bizarre.
So supposedly, Cody Rhodes gifted Roman and Roman, Rock, and Seth Rollins watches, like a Rolex or something. I don't know.
When?
Well, I think it was. I don't think we saw it. I think it was like,
but like this year, like for this match. Okay.
For the
That's what I meant.
match.
Was this like something that happened 20 years ago that I
No.
don't remember when Cody was 10?
No. So I think he gifted the. So the rumor is that The Rock gave the watch back.
That's pretty funny.
Now, do I think The Rock would actually do that? No, I think it's all part of this cool way that they're doing their story, which is like, it's really towing the line between reality and kayfabe.
Mm-hmm.
So, interested. They may or may not be setting up a match between them at next year's WrestleMania. I definitely think we'll see them have a match at some point.
Yeah. That was too overt. The Rock said, when I come back, I'm coming back for you.
Right.
That sounds to me like they're setting something
Which
up.
is exciting because I mean, that tells me that, like, I think ultimately The Rock is going to want to have what would be his last match with Roman Reigns.
That's what I would assume.
One would assume. So I'm thinking maybe he has 2 matches left in him. I know it takes a lot to get back in ring shape. He was working his ass off for, a few months to get back.
But he did it so well.
Oh, I think he's got those 2 matches. I'm not saying
so well. And I'm wondering, I feel like every time he comes out, this is like anyone in any kind of like performance career. If you don't do it for a long time, then you get back into it. I feel like the feeling is like, especially when you're The Rock coming back to wrestling, that feeling has to be addictive.
Right.
So I feel like he would come back again for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like we didn't do what we were supposed to do when he came back, when this started. We were supposed to get Roman Reigns versus The Rock. We haven't done that yet.
And he's such a big, like, family guy. Did you know that his stunt double that he works on, it's like one of his cousins?
Yeah.
And it looks just fucking it's crazy. And so, like, I think ultimately he's going to want to put, like, his family, he's going to want to do that for his family, So, but I'm excited for the idea of him, and who knows, maybe we get that match at SummerSlam. Maybe we get it at Survivor Series. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
So
we'll have to see.
But I think ultimately we'll see Rock and Roman at some point. But I'm excited to see Rock and Cody because now that's something else on Cody's list that he's not done. He's never beaten The Rock. Anyway, we also saw a few NXT champs make their sort of debut on Monday Night Raw. We saw Ilya Dragunov and Roxanne Perez. So it's not surprising considering we have the draft in a couple of weeks now. We get that announcement. So I think they're testing out some NXT talent on the main roster, see how they do, see how they're received. And I mean, I think a lot of people, at least I heard it more with Ilya Dragunov than I did Roxanne Perez. But I think they're both ready to be on the main roster. I do think Roxanne's really, really young. Not in terms.
How young is she?
I think she's like she's like what, 24? I guess so.
That's how old Rhea Ripley was. That's how old Dominic Mysterio was. That's how old Austin Theory was.
Then I recant my statement.
She just looks young because she's small.
But I mean, she's a badass. But she's awesome in the ring. So
I take when I can recognize someone's name as someone who doesn't watch NXT.
Right.
That's when I'm like, okay, I should look out for you because it can't be very much longer now. Right. That's what happened with Tiffany. That's what happened with
Braun Breaker.
Braun Breaker.
Carmelo Hayes.
He's not.
Trick Williams.
Well, I know all their names, and I expect them to transfer over. I'm talking about people who already have, who I recognized. Which again is saying a lot because I don't watch NXT like that. I'm trying to do better.
Yeah.
We watched Stand and Deliver.
Stand and Deliver was awesome.
Stand and Deliver was awesome. Every time I watch an NXT, especially an NXT PLE, I'm like, holy shit! Like they're great. Obviously, they're great. They just scare me.
Right.
Because they're really they're not holding anything back.
But I'm excited. I would love to see both of them on the main roster. I'd love to see what they do. So yeah, but I feel like I heard the crowd get really hyped. It's also his music. Ilya Dragunov's music is fucking awesome.
Fucking good.
I love his mad conductor thing that he does. So I thought that was cool. John Cena popped up. I mean, he was still in town, I guess, so he came through and fucked shit up. Drew McIntyre was still hilarious.
Yeah.
he fucking threw something at Pat McAfee.
He texted in the middle of his match that he was bored at work. That's so fucking funny.
But I'm like, here's my big question: is CM Punk still injured?
That was unclear because he took off his brace.
He wasn't wearing it at Raw.
But it still seemed like he was favoring that arm.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
But that could be part of the story.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll have to fucking see, I guess.
So, but I would love to see. Yeah, I'm conflicted because on the one hand, because Clash at the Castle's coming up, I'm like, are they going to give Drew like a big match, or are they going to give him? Is that big match going to be for the World Heavyweight title?
The last time we had a Clash at the Castle, the hometown hero who won, well, not hometown, but the person that everyone was really looking forward to and really wanted to win was Sheamus, and he lost. So are they going to do that 2 times in a row?
No, he was Drew McIntyre was the main event against Roman Reigns, and he did lose.
I forgot about that one.
Because that's when
Because
Solo...
the best match in my mind was Sheamus and
Gunter.
Yeah.
Yeah. We get Sheamus back next week, or this week.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that. So looking... man, I really want Damian Priest to... Now that I'm, like, seeing him as champ, and I know that he's the first Puerto Rican champ in 50 years in the WWE, and also his... I don't know if you've seen any of the backstage footage where, like, The Rock came up to him and like congratulated him, gave him a hug, and as soon as The Rock turned away, he looks back at the camera and goes, "That was pretty cool." But then his hero, his idol, The Undertaker, came up to him and like gave him, props, and he introduced. He transformed into a kid at that point because he introduced The Undertaker to his family, like his father was there. And as soon as The Undertaker walked away, he looks at the camera and goes, "You got that, right? Did someone get that?" He looks so excited. So I'm like, well, fuck, now I want you to be the champ for a while.
I want him to be the champ for a while. He's also, I mean, not that this matters, obviously, because The Rock's like 97 coming back doing these matches, but Damian Priest is in his 40s, which I don't think people realize because he looks really, really good for his age. But...
A lot of the stars right now, I mean, obviously there's exceptions, but a lot of the stars and champions are like in their 30s and 40s right now. And I'm like, I think Triple H recognizes that, like, yeah, you can still have these stars who are in, they're not as young as the NXT folks, so, I mean, obviously you have your Rhea Ripleys that are, like, the exception. But, yeah, most of their big stars that they're getting these pushes are, like, kind of veterans of the business.
Which makes sense.
I agree.
Because they're more experienced, they're better on the mic, they've got a better handle on things. And I also think it might be... I mean, this may be going a little bit too deep for WWE, but just this more modern societal idea that the 20s aren't your peak.
Right.
It's more your 30s when you've got things more figured out. We're all living longer. So It makes sense for that goalpost to move. So I think it's also showcasing like your peak's not just when you're 25 and then that's it. You can be 50.
Overall, thought it was a solid Raw after Mania, though I think the real spotlight was on SmackDown after Mania. Cody Rhodes comes out, talks some shit, apologizes for saying the word bitch, like a bitch would. Nah, I'm just playing. I did think that was weird. Like, why'd you apologize for cursing? I don't know. Again, references The Rock, so we're going to see it at some point down the line. And then... The talk of the night. Other than the contenders match for next week, for Cody Rhodes' first opponent. I don't know why I said it like that. First opponent. We get a rematch between LA Knight, and AJ Styles, which I'm excited for. I hope it's going to be even crazier than their WrestleMania match. Now that AJ Styles has a fucking loss under his belt. So, but the real talk of the night was. Just when we thought, okay, the Bloodline's going to take, their story's going to take a backseat for a while. The Bloodline's got to figure out
because Roman's not here.
Because Roman's not there.
And he won't be here probably for a while.
Well, or so we thought. Because, Paul Heyman, Solo Sikoa, and Jimmy come out to represent the Bloodline, the tribal chief. Paul's talking some shit saying, there's consequences for losing and, we take accountability. But like a phoenix rising from the ashes. And then he gets cut off by Solo Sikoa, who then proceeds to absolutely obliterate his own flesh and blood, his own brother, Jimmy Uso, with the help of newcomer to this, Tama Tonga. They fucked that guy up. They fucked Jimmy Uso up. Like, he's going to be out, I think, for a minute.
I also think that was setting up a nice vacation for Jimmy.
And so when Paul tries to call Roman Reigns, Solo smashes his phone.
Yeah. Roman Reigns still doesn't know what happened.
Forces Paul to go with him. And then Tama Tonga says, by orders of the tribal chief. And then who we see pop up a camera? Solo Sikoa.
Solo Sikoa has found his words after a very long time of being stoic and silent. And his words that he's using are, I'm the new tribal chief now.
Now, to be fair, they did set him up as the tribal heir.
Yes.
And
so maybe,
then,
you know what? Maybe it's a miscommunication. And he was like, he woke up that Monday, and he was like, where are my servants? Where is the limo to take me to the jet, to take me to the island, to take me to the yacht, to take me to the island? Like, where's all this stuff that's supposed to be here for me? And he just, after a while of that, he was like, I guess no one's going to actually, like, set any of this stuff up for me, so I guess I have to do it myself, and I'll start with my fucking brother, I guess.
You see, we should have known that something was up, because at WrestleMania, when Solo came to help out Roman, he was bossing Roman around. He's like, finish him now, do it, just finish him.
And Roman said, what did he say?
Roman was like, I know. Like, he was talking out the side of his mouth to his tribal chief. So maybe that was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I think this back has been broken for a while. I think we've been seeing the signs of Solo not 100% wanting to conform into the bloodline.
Right.
And I think he was just waiting for his opportune moment. What's that from?
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Pirates of the Caribbean. Great movie. Great movie. I think he was just waiting for that moment to, like a phoenix from the ashes, rise up and claim what is, I guess, rightfully his. I don't know what the paperwork looks like behind that. I don't know if there's any deed or anything.
On top of that, so now it's like, okay, now there's going to be a true, what's looking like a bloodline civil war. Ken's just looking out the window again.
He's not going fishing. He's not going hiking. You know what he's doing? He's cleaning out his car. I need to do the same thing, brother. If I pay you $10, will you do mine too? You know? He's got gloves on. He's being really professional about it. Hope nothing weird happened in the car.
He's robbing that car.
He's doing a really slow job of it. And he's taking out their trash while he does it. And I'm watching him do it.
He's a thief, not a monster. Anyway.
He's got so much stuff in his back seat.
You're being weird. Are you watching him?
Why is that weird? He's out in public. Okay, my window's open.
Someone was watching you.
Here, see, this is the thing. Every time I step outside, I presume that everyone's always watching me all the time. It's why I'm the way that I am.
Anyway, we gotta wrap this up, so shut up. Anyway, so I think we're gonna have dueling bloodline factions. I think it's kind of like the NWO and the Wolf Pack. Yeah, we're gonna have a bloodline civil war. We may even see a couple more Fatus and Anawais come in. Probably more Fatus.
There are two more.
There's two more at least. I'm thinking. I from what I've heard, Jacob Fatu's already been signed. That's a rumor. I have no skin in the game. I have no connections except for the internet. Okay.
The internet connection.
I gotta get internet connection. That's pretty good.
Thanks.
And Zilla Fatu, who I do know is wrestling in the Indies, maybe he pops up. So someone pointed out, maybe this could be Rock's bloodline versus Roman's bloodline. Maybe The Rock is pulling the strings for Solo. Although I don't know about that. But I think what could happen, we could see this play out all the way through Survivor Series for War Games. Have a bloodline war game.
Bloodline v. Bloodline.
That'd be pretty fucking cool.
Pretty cool. I mean, we'll see.
So, anyway, that could be cool. I don't know. But that was like the big thing that happened on SmackDown. So clearly we've got some good stories coming up in WWE. Looking very much forward to it. And yeah, we have a Backlash coming up in just a few weeks. So we'll see.
Where's Backlash? France.
In France. France.
Folie à deux.
Folie à deux.
Yeah.
Que je parle français.
Okay. What other French do you want to spit out?
Je m'appelle Lafayette,
Jacques.
the king of revolutionary threats.
Oh my god. Oh my god. There's one more thing I want to talk about that we saw on Raw and SmackDown.
Yes.
For those who remember, right before Bray Wyatt's return, we had a very interesting marketing technique being used it was almost like, first of all, they were fucking scary. They were scary. And it was like Easter eggs and QR codes, and they would like interrupt the broadcast for like 2 seconds to show something on the screen that was frightening, all leading up to the return of Bray Wyatt and Uncle Howdy.
Right.
Uncle Howdy's so fucking scary. And we're seeing something very similar to that playing out. They're not doing the exact same thing, which I can appreciate.
Very subtle.
It's at least right now, it's very subtle. Listen, we're watching Raw and SmackDown through Sling, which sucks ass. So when I see the screen glitching for a second, I don't think anything of that because that's just, you know what, that's just another fucking Monday night. But people were starting to notice it across platforms. So then I was like, oh, okay. Friday, we got another version of that. And in the split second that the screen was glitched, there was writing in the right corner that said, "You forgot about us."
Yeah.
That's fucking scary. That's so scary.
And you showed me a video of one of the, I think it was maybe Raw or SmackDown, and during a commercial break at the arena, they were playing some creepy ass old song.
Yeah.
Just with
and like the lights, the jumbotrons had gone dark,
and they were just playing some creepy music,
and then it just stopped, and they were back at it.
So
and see, I love that because it's like nobody watching on TV had any clue that happened,
right?
But they knew that people were gonna immediately post it online and be like, "Hey guys, what the heck was this?" So there's a lot of theories about who this could be announcing the return of. People are saying Uncle Howdy. People are saying any other member of the Wyatt family.
Yeah,
people are saying Alexa Bliss.
Alexa Bliss, maybe.
Which, that one I'm like, okay, that makes sense. But I don't know. I feel like whoever it is has to somehow, I guess they don't have to, should somehow be related to Bray Wyatt as like his character throughout the years, somebody.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it would feel very derivative.
Right.
And almost like disrespectful.
Yeah.
So I hope it's not some random person.
Thank you for bringing this up. I completely forgot that we were going to talk about this.
Yeah, you forgot about them. I never could.
Oh my God. We've referenced Phantom in every episode for like the last several episodes.
I've referenced Phantom almost every day of my life since you showed it to me 10 years ago.
It's true.
So.
Yeah, I don't know, but I do love it. I didn't realize. I thought it was weird, but I'm like, again, we watched it on Sling, so I wasn't like, oh, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't until we saw someone take a screenshot at the right moment. That's so fucking terrifying that it says you forgot about us.
Oh,
so,
but yeah, I love that. I love all the new camera angles we've been getting recently. I love this emphasis on the sports and sports entertainment, and then making it feel like a sporting event. And we're getting all these like wacky, like LA Night in a cop car, and we're getting these like weird, part real, part fake reality TV basically segments.
Right.
And I think it's all been really, really fantastic. And it's one of the like many ways that I feel like we're in a new era, a better era of WWE.
I completely agree.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Paul. The Logan Paul Levesque era.
Oh my God. So fucking funny and so stupid.
Anyway, I think that's going to do it for us this time around. Thank y'all for tuning in. If you haven't already, please follow us on all the various socials. We'll be doing a pre-per-view in just a few weeks for Backlash, so go ahead and keep an eye on our social media. That way you'll see when we have our date and time announced. Or you can join us, hang out with us on Twitch, talk about the card, and make predictions. Please also check us out on our YouTube channel. We have all sorts of stuff, including every episode of Ringside. And I think that's about
That's it.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
We love you. And we'll see y'all for the next one.
Bye.
Peace.